Now, one thing that the Frenzy Auto Shotgun has going for it is its incredible range, right? It can deal damage to people within 50 meters. It can deal a little bit of damage. What's going on, everybody? Toby Wan Shinobi here, and today I'm gonna break down the shotguns in Chapter 5, Season 2, and show you what the best shotgun is and the best attachments for these shotguns. All right, let's get into it. Now, spoiler, the best shotgun in the game right now is the Gatekeeper shotgun, and that comes with a very large asterisk on it because the Gatekeeper shotgun only has 3 shots in the magazine, and if you miss a shot or if you're too far away, you're stuck on a reload. Whereas the Frenzy shotgun, right, you can just spam that thing from about this distance and you're not going to get stuck on a reload and you're going to be able to finish the fight. So if you miss with the Gatekeeper shotgun at close range, you know, if you get a bad shot, you are now stuck on a reload and you're probably losing that fight. So that's the major difference between the Gatekeeper and the Frenzy. But if you use the Gatekeeper with cover, and this right here is absolutely busted, definitely needs to be fixed. There is a glitch with the Gatekeeper shotgun that allows you to shoot around corners. As long as your reticle is on your enemy, you can deal full damage to them, practically full damage to them, even though you should not be able to shoot them. It's absolutely busted. You cannot do that with any other shotgun, and I guarantee you right now, this player cannot see my body. You can see the camera angle here. He might be able to see my elbow, but I should not be able to shoot this shotgun around this corner. I hope that this gets patched because nobody should be winning fights just based off of knowing that glitch right there. I don't like glitches in the game. I'd rather have them removed because I think it should be an even playing field and people shouldn't win fights based off of weapon glitches, in my opinion. So it's busted, right? You can't even use a Frenzy at this angle right here. You can hit barely any pellets. If you use a Gatekeeper, you're pretty much getting full damage. So there's some knowledge for you. Use it how you like. People might be using it against you. So if you can't see somebody and they're hitting you, they probably have a Gatekeeper around a corner. Now, the way we fix the Gatekeeper, the magazine on it, is we just slap a drum magazine on the thing. The drum magazine makes the Gatekeeper so much better. And I would say even better than a Mythic. If you have a blue Gatekeeper that has just a drum magazine on it, I'd rather pick that up than the Mythic one because the Mythic, you're gonna be able to hit those 3 shots and then you're stuck on a reload. And if your enemy has a Frenzy or they start frying you with something else while you're on a reload, you're in trouble. So unless you're gonna pump swap with it, right? You shoot a shotgun, you switch to an AR, pump or shoot them a little bit and then swap back to the Gatekeeper, then I don't recommend the Mythic. I recommend just using a 5 magazine, blue, purple, or gold version of the shotgun, even a green, because honestly, the difference in rarity doesn't matter that much. Look at this. We're at 15 meters right here. Here's a blue Gatekeeper. 67 damage. Here's a gold Gatekeeper, 73 damage, and here's a mythic Gatekeeper, 77 damage. Okay, so there is definitely a difference, a decent amount of difference in damage, but it doesn't really matter all that much if you've got 2 more shots in your magazine, right? Because this thing shoots pretty fast. It sounds like a lot, but it doesn't really matter all that much if you can't finish the fight with that shotgun, right? If you got a pump swap and you got to hit some AR shots, yeah, just know that you have to do that, but I'd rather just keep my shotgun out and just keep firing and land 5 shots for the kill instead of getting stuck on a reload like this and then being like, oh shoot, you know, and get fried if you're an open 50-50. Now, again, I think that the Mythic is great. The damage on it is pretty insane. You can max pump someone for about 136 damage, which is really good. You compare that to a blue pump, and it's almost just as good as a pump, right? Even a blue Gatekeeper shotgun will land a max of 126, where a pump does about 176 if it's absolutely perfect. Now, the pump shotgun, it's just awful because once you come out here to about 15 meters, right, and we shoot a nice little chest shot here, we get 68. And look how slow that fire rate is. Now we switch over to the blue Gatekeeper, and we're getting 59. 59 at this range versus 68, and it shoots probably 4 times as fast as a pump. So, in my opinion, the pump just doesn't really make sense in this current meta unless you're playing builds, because the headshot damage on the pump is great at very close range, but apart from that, the Gatekeeper is just better in pretty much every way. Even at long range, the Gatekeeper does great headshot damage versus that, right? So the pump actually does less damage for headshots at 15 meters out than a Gatekeeper, right? 75 on the Gatekeeper, 72 on the pump. So pump shotgun is a silly shotgun, at least for zero builds. I don't really see the point of its existence right now. So yeah, I would go with Gatekeeper over a pump. And the Gatekeeper shotgun, again, can be used as a pump shotgun, right? You fire off your 3 bullets and then you swap and you shoot your SMG or your AR to finish, right? If you've only got the 3 shots in the mag and you want to run it that way, or you just want to use it as a pump, you can get your 3 shots out and then just finish off with the AR or the SMG or whatever, right? So even like this is very viable, right? If you want to actually use it as a pump shotgun, it's very viable. So it's a nice flexible shotgun, and with this current glitch right here of being able to shoot people around corners, it's pretty much unbeatable. In builds, that's going to be absolutely crazy, and I'm sure this is going to get patched. And if it doesn't, then that's wild because that is game breaking in builds. I just came to that realization. Yeah, if you're in builds and you're building Windows edits and you're shooting around walls, that's just not even fair. So also, shout out to Crazy Gamer JC in the Shinobi Clan for pointing this one out to me, being able to shoot around walls with this gun. Thanks for pointing that out. Hopefully this thing gets fixed. All right, now effective range of the Gatekeeper is about 20 meters. 20 meters is about the most you'd really want to use this shotgun in a way that it's going to make sense versus just using an AR. Because if you're out here, right, you're going to be hitting for about 50. And at that point, you can get pretty darn close to killing someone, and then you can switch to your AR and finish them off, or lead with AR, then get around this range and start kind of peppering them from here, and you're doing pretty good damage. Once you get to a past 20 meters, it's just not worth it. Like 25 meters, 23 meters, you're doing about 40 damage to 30 damage per shot. And at this point, it's just not worth using the shotgun unless they're extremely hurt, right? So you want to keep it within about 4 tile lengths. That's when you really start to see that nice damage and kind of worth keeping it out because you can stay mobile while shooting as well. And I highly recommend using the Gatekeeper shotgun at about the 15 meter mark, especially with cover. If you're peeking around cover, doing that glitch, you're hitting for a nice 60 to 70 damage at about 15 meters. And if you got the 5-shot mag, you can definitely eliminate people from this range without a problem. Even with a blue or even with a green version of this gun, you're probably going to be able to eliminate as long as you're hitting your shots at about 15 meters. Now, the Frenzy really starts to struggle at 15 meters. And you have to basically hit every single shot perfectly with a normal magazine to be able to eliminate people. So that is why the Gatekeeper at this range is better, because you can use cover for one and just be doing more damage per shot. But also you're just like, So yeah, I really recommend keeping your fights about this range when using the shotgun, and that's going to give you the most advantage in your fights, because people that are using a frenzy shotgun or maybe aren't hitting their shots very well are going to actually kind of struggle at this range to kill you. Whereas if you got the Gatekeeper at this range, right, you can easily eliminate them while they struggle to kill you with their full magazine, unless they got the drum magazine on the frenzy. But even then, you should be using cover as well if you're at this range too, because you'll be looking for the best piece of cover, playing that, and hitting enemies behind the cover. So yeah, if you want to practice with these new shotguns and with any new weapon or any weapon in general, I highly recommend Shinobi Testing Grounds. There's a sniper range over here as well with moving AI. There's just like targets, and then there's also this area over here, and then there's more like kind of areas where you can test your gun distances, also your right shoulder peaks and that sort of thing. So I highly recommend jumping in here, practicing with this gun, feeling it out, and just kind of feeling out the ranges, right, for each one of these weapons. It'll definitely help you win more fights if you're comfortable and you know the distances of these weapons and how to best use them, right? Especially with cover for this one. All right, next up, let's just talk about attachments here. Really, the only recommendation I have for you is putting the drum mag on here. A laser will not matter. Go ahead, throw a laser on here, and then we'll just compare it to another blue version of this gun without a laser. And I promise you, the damage is pretty much negligible, maybe a couple points or something from 20 meters out. With a laser, 46. Without, 46. So again, laser sight doesn't really matter, even though the description says it increases hipfire accuracy. So yeah, the laser, the only time the laser is actually going to make a difference is if you're jumping around at longer ranges. At close ranges, it still doesn't make a difference. And even at longer ranges, it doesn't really help all that much. So here's with a laser, jumping at about 16 meters, all body shots. and here's without the laser. It's pretty crazy that we're actually more consistent without the laser. You know, we're hitting weird damage numbers with the laser for some reason. Yeah, maybe it's just like I'm not getting critical damage there. I don't know what it is, but you can tell, right? The laser doesn't really make a difference, so I really don't recommend it. It's just a waste of your gold. Always put the drum mag on the Gatekeeper, though, because the Gatekeeper, it does matter to have the drum mag. It does not matter to have the laser. Laser, no laser, doesn't matter. Laser's not helping us. Muzzle brake, scopes, nothing's going to help you land more damage. Even zooming in with a scope is not any different. So at 20 meters again, so here's that difference with the scope, 57, without a scope, 54. So maybe a slight extra damage with a scope, but I generally don't put scopes on shotguns. It's a little weird. I'd rather be able to just aim down sights quick and not have to like look down a sight. It's just a little weird. So yeah, the only attachment that really matters with this gun is the drum magazine, and I definitely encourage you to put that on there, because even with the drum, the reload on this thing is pretty fast. You see that? If you put a drum magazine on a frenzy shotgun, the reload is very slow. Check this out. Check this out. See? See how slow that reload is for the frenzy when it's got a drum versus the Gatekeeper when it's got a drum is much faster. And if you like the speed mag with the Gatekeeper, that is viable as well if you're using it as a pump shotgun, or if you're using cover well where you can reload behind cover and you're not just out in the open. Now, I highly recommend pairing the Gatekeeper with the new Cerberus medallion that allows you to teleport around, because you can teleport around people, stay in medium distance, and keep tapping them for about 70 damage, and then teleport again. The new Hades medallion is absolutely crazy, and it's definitely my favorite medallion. Now, I will say that in general, most players will probably prefer the Frenzy shotgun if they've got bad aim. If you've got kind of, you know, struggle with your aim, the Frenzy shotgun is good because it has a much larger reticle. It'll allow you to hit those shots a little bit easier. It's a little more user-friendly at close range too, because, you know, if you miss shots, it's not such a big deal. Whereas with the Gatekeeper, on a stock Gatekeeper, you're gonna get stuck on a reload. Even if you hit 4 shots, sometimes you're gonna lose if you hit a bad shot in the middle of the fight with a Gatekeeper. Whereas the Frenzy, it's really hard to lose a fight if you're at close range at all. As long as you've got half of a magazine with a Frenzy shotgun, you're probably still winning that fight. So for most people, they probably are going to prefer the Frenzy, but for those who really like a pump shotgun or a tactical shotgun feel, you know, something a little more skill, a little harder hits, I really recommend the Gatekeeper, especially over the pump. All right, really quickly, let's go over the time to kill of these weapons, the Gatekeeper and the Frenzy. The pump shotgun doesn't really make sense to do the time to kill unless you're doing pump swapping, and even then, that gun's just not very good. You might as well be using the Gatekeeper. So here's the Frenzy at 10 meters. Pretty much all body shots. Here's the Gatekeeper at 10 meters. Now that right there is exactly why the drum magazine is so important as well for this gun, because you can't really 3-tap unless you get a headshot within 10 meters, right? If you get some nice headshot damage, then you can definitely 3-tap. But if you're hitting body shots only at about 10 meters, you're short of getting the kill with the Gatekeeper shotgun. All right, now here is the time to kill at about 6 meters with the Gatekeeper, all body shots. Here we go. Here's the time to kill of the Frenzy shotgun at 6 meters, all body shots. Now, another really important note is that the blue version of the Gatekeeper cannot really 2-tap unless you're at extremely close ranges. So at this range right here, if I land a perfect headshot, right, 248. So that cannot 2-tap with a blue version. But if you do purple and gold, you'll pretty much have no problem. Even a blue at this closer range can 2-tap, but you gotta be super, super close. They gotta basically be not moving, and you hit them in the head. Now with a gold version, you can come out here, and the 2-tap is much more viable, right? It's a lot more realistic to 2-tap somebody with this gun from about this range at 6 meters. So 6 meters with a gold version of this gun is absolutely crazy if you can land the 2 perfect headshots. Now, body shots don't do the same thing, right? It's gonna be still 3 shots, but 2 perfect headshots with a gold will do it at about 6 meters. And that no longer works at about 8 meters here. You just come up short. So you really got to be with about 6 meters, right? And even then, like, you can miss a couple pellets like that, and it doesn't always work. But it's a lot more realistic with a gold to do it at that range. And the Mythic can actually get it done at about 10 meters, which is pretty wild. But again, if you miss any pellets at all, you're probably not killing. If you really want to go for headshot damage with this gun, you need to put all 3 dots around the head. If you only put the top dot at the head, you don't get the nice big critical damage, right? So you got to put all 3 dots around the head, and that gets you the most damage. So yeah, only the Mythic is able to kill with a 2-tap at 10 meters here. The gold won't do it either. Just short. Now, another interesting note about the Gatekeeper shotgun is that going for headshots is actually generally the way to use this gun. If you can get a nice perfect headshot and get that little 3-dot triangle on someone's head from this distance, it does more damage than a spread out body shot, which is different than most shotguns. Usually at longer ranges, the pellet spread starts to matter more and you want to just get more pellets on the body. But with a Gatekeeper, it actually still works to hit a headshot at this range right here. So we're doing about 75 to the head on a headshot, and about 63 to the body with non-headshot, which is different than, say, the Frenzy. When you use the Frenzy, you don't really want to aim at the head because you get 45 to the head versus 48 to the body, right? So the body is actually doing more damage than the head with the Frenzy, but with a Gatekeeper, it's the opposite. You still do more damage to the head at longer ranges. So I do recommend going for headshots with this thing when you are aiming down sights. Now, if you're not aiming down sights, that pellet spread is going to start to get too big, and then there's not going to be a big difference, right? The pellets are random in this game. 56, 56, 56 to the head, so I'm not aiming down sights anymore, and the pellets are getting random, and now it's the exact same as the body. So aiming for the head when aiming down sights definitely helps, makes it a little more effective, but either way, the thing does really, really good damage. Now, one thing that the Frenzy Auto Shotgun has going for it is its incredible range, right? It can deal damage to people within 50 meters. It can deal a little bit of damage. So if you literally have someone a bullet, right, no health at all, and you start spraying them from about 45, 50 meters out, you're gonna still be doing damage with the Frenzy. Not very much, but it's something, right? If they're absolutely no health, or they start shockwaving away or whatever, and you hit them a couple times with a couple 4 damage, you can kill them. Whereas all the other shotguns cannot do that until you're about 33 meters. Now the pump is no good until 30 meters, right? So at 31 we don't do anything, but at 30 we can deal 10. The pump is 30, and the Gatekeeper is oddly 33. So at 33 I can deal 7, but at 34 I don't deal anything. So just a note, the Frenzy definitely does take the cake in terms of range. Honestly, the range on this thing is way too much. To be able to hit someone from 50 meters away with a shotgun to like pressure them is kind of silly, but hey, that's what we got. And honestly, that can kind of actually have an effect on people, right? If you're just like putting pressure out just like this, like people don't like taking damage. When they see that they're taking damage, they kind of freak out and they don't know what's going on, right? So if you're flying through the air and you're just blasting someone like this with a Frenzy, it can get in their psyche and it can just like kind of change that fight, even if you're not really doing much. It can get them out of position. It can kind of get them to make some mistakes. And it does a lot better damage at 33 meters than the Frenzy, because the Frenzy at 33, let's see, 10 versus 6, right? So you do more damage from further out. With the Gatekeeper, I'm doing 8 now. With the Frenzy, 10. So yeah, it's a little bit better damage at longer ranges, but the Frenzy can go out further and still do damage. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please leave a like on the video. It helps me so much. And if you would consider using code TobyWanShinobi in your Fortnite item shop, it helps me and my family more than you will ever know. If you like these kind of breakdowns and deep analysis on Fortnite Zero Build, you gotta check out my must-watch playlist on my YouTube channel. I promise you will not regret it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day. Shinobi out.